Okay, kids, it's time to do some reading, like it always is at this time. Gee! Okay, we're going to read again the Wuhan cover-up and the terrifying bioweapons arm race by Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who's the only person worth voting for this election season. The only one who will take to task the criminals who destroyed our country and destroyed the world, destroyed the internet. Oh, look at that. I was on page 1111 yesterday. Now I'm on 1112. Okay, so this is Enter Dr. Anthony Fauci chapter 17. In September 2002, Eileen Coffness, I don't know if I'm spelling the name right, pronouncing the name right, it's Choffnes, of the National Academy of Sciences, warned in an opinion piece for the Bulletin of Atomic Scientists that, quote, these laboratories might become a pathogen-modifying training academy or biowarfare agent superstore, end quote. A month later, Dr. Fauci defended his program against these barbs by telling a credulous Baltimore Sun writer that the benefits of his enterprise far outweighs the risk, neither of which he actually quantified. The rapid construction of his new fleet of biolabs, he declared, was critical to defending the nation. Furthermore, his experiments would pose a minuscule God, you go somewhere else and talk? I'm trying to fucking read. Okay, sorry. Stupid drivers sit out and smoke cigarettes outside their car. Okay, talking. Okay, quote. Furthermore, his experiments would pose a minuscule risk because, quote, biodefense research involves very small amounts of dangerous material. Yeah, sure, end quote. The article nowhere disputes Dr. Fauci's ironic logic that germs, being tiny, could hardly present a large-scale threat. No, the COVID coup was not a large-scale threat. He continually makes the opposite argument elsewhere. Quote, we're trying to do research to protect the population, not to make weapons. Yeah, right, end quote. He earnestly insists, According to the Sunshine Project, an international nonprofit working against the hostile use of biotechnology, the institutional safeguards put into place to ensure that these labs operate with adequate safety protection and are doing the appropriate kinds of research, quote, are almost non-functional, end quote. Edward Hammond, who was the director of the Sunshine Project, cited instance after instance where the oversight committees for these research facilities had never been convened, let alone reviewed the nature of ongoing research. He also found a chaotic Wild West environment where non-authorized research had displaced mandated research. Dr. Fauci himself has grudgingly recognized the perils of his dabbling with these viral ensorcelments. God, is that a word? Ensorcelments. Ensorcellements. Ensorcelments. These viral ensorcelments. Great band name. The viral ensorcelments. In a 2012 letter to the microbiology journal MBio, MBIO, defending his gain-of-function diablary. God, he uses so many words I don't know. I thought I knew every word in English. I was an English professor once. diablerie, diablary, his gain-of-function diablary. Dr. Fauci laid out a scenario acknowledging the dangers, even with the most rigorous precautions. Today, over a decade later, his confession shed light on his prescient pandemic pronouncements. Quote, this is from the horse's mouth himself, Dr. Tony Science. Consider this, scientism it should be called, consider this hypothetical scenario an important gain-of-function experiment involving a virus with serious pandemic potential is performed in a well-regulated, world-class laboratory by experienced investigators, but the information from the experiment is then used by another scientist who does not have the same training and facilities and is not subject to the same regulations. In an unlikely but conceivable turn of events, what if that scientist becomes infected with the virus, which leads to an outbreak and ultimately triggers a pandemic? Oh, that's exactly what happened, but maybe it was purposely, not accidentally released. Ooh, that was close. What if indeed the letter shows that Dr. Fauci recognized that the most foolproof precautions could not prevent reckless wizardry from compounding the menace of a global contagion? He was stating the obvious. Even Dr. Fauci's most loyal partners have persistently warned against the dicey science the NIAID director was by then funding at Wuhan and elsewhere. Dr. Thomas Inglesby, director of the Gates and NIH-funded Johns Hopkins Center for Health Security and a bioweapons cartel insider, expressed skepticism of Dr. Fauci's safety claims. Ingleby's warning carry persuasive weight since he is generally regarded as the leading authority on biosecurity and the beau ideal of the bioweapons set. That's a French word or something because he has it hyphenated. BEAU is the first word and second word is IDEAL with a little thing over the E. Beau from beauty. Beau ideal. Let me read that sentence again. Inglesby's warnings carry persuasive weight since he is generally regarded as the leading authority on biosecurity and the Beau ideal of the bioweapons set. His institution is the recipient of hundreds of millions of NIH dollars. In 2016, Dr. Inglesby made forceful prophecies against Dr. Fauci's experiments at the meeting of the National Science Advisory Board for Biosecurity, otherwise known as NSABB, National Science Advisory Board for Biosecurity. Which was then debating the potential termination of President Obama's 2014 moratorium on all gain-of-function research. Quote, without extraordinary, unique benefit gain-of-function experiments in which a release could start a pandemic leading to numerous deaths should not be performed. Emphasis added with on should not be performed. Okay. Inglesby then made a devastating observation that effectively demolished the key assumptions underlying Dr. Fauci's defense of his experiments. This is a quote. Quote, if a pathogen is modified to increase transmissibility, it is not logical to assume it would still be susceptible to existing control measures. Evidence does not support the contention that human behavior effectively reduces the transmission of viruses such as influenza. Therefore, studies that enhance a pathogen's transmissibility are concerning. It should not be assumed that the spread of a novel pathogen would be controlled. End quote. Dr. Inglesby concluded that only some proof of spectacular benefit could justify continued gain-of-function research, and that its advantages are not so clear or singular as to excuse the potential catastrophic risk. Quote, such research should only be funded if a disinterested party can make a highly compelling case for it. But definitely Dr. Fauci is not a disinterested, as he gets millions of dollars from these deadly bioweapons falsely called vaccines. Dr. Fauci, who was hardly disinterested, has not only steadfastly ignored Inglesby's warning, he has also, as we shall see, exerted monumental energies to assure that no disinterested party could ever again threaten his gain-of-function necromancy, bringing to life dead things. Okay, chapter 18, the medical, military, industrial complex. I'm going to read that next when I get out of the sunshine, because the sun pierced through the fake clouds momentarily. So I'm going to go up above this place. Go up to some shaded area.